doesn't kill you, makes you harder. Now a little while when the lights go out, you miss this booty.
That's a smash hit, Hotter Now, from Canadian Congolese singer Lucala, which has been dominating the airwaves and is one of many hits to come from Canadian artists this year. Many of these artists, including Lucala, will be celebrated at the SOCAN Awards, which get underway tonight. Well, with more on the awards and her rapid rise to the top of the charts, we are joined by Lucala in studio this morning. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for visiting us here. Let's go back a little bit and talk to us about the origins of your music and also how it's felt to have your music so popular now in pop culture, in terms of hearing it on the radio, hearing it streamed, people obviously loving your work. How does that feel?
It feels really good. I've always known I wanted to do this, but you don't really know how to make it happen. So to be in a time right now where my songs are played on the radio so much. Like, I just found out this last week that I had my 4th top 10.
Wow.
Like on the radio, and I'm like, that's crazy in the last like under 2 years. So I'm really happy to be in a place where the kids want to hear Lucala.
They do want to hear you. And well, you are going to be heard at the SOCAN Awards tonight. You're going to be performing. What can people expect? What are you going to perform? How do you get ready for that type of performance? Because it's maybe a different crowd. It's an industry crowd. So what are you thinking?
It is. Industry crowds are just like interesting because you don't know if everyone's like sitting down, if they're standing up. Like it's it's a different energy, and you're performing for your peers, so you might be like a little more nervous. But I'm excited to, I don't know, potentially tease a little new music and obviously give them the classics that they know.
Right. So how many tracks, how many performances are you going to be doing?
You're gonna have to find out.
Have to find out. Okay.
Find out.
All right. There you go. I can't wait to hear what you have for the audiences. And you mentioned a bit of your new music. I want to ask you about Criminal, which is going to be released at the end of the month, right? It's your new single. Tell us about that.
It's coming out this Friday, so I'm really excited. In a couple of days on the 27th. And I feel like it's a bit of a different vibe and sound for me. It's 80s inspired, but still very much right now and modern. And I don't know, like this song's a little more bad. It's a little more edgier.
Okay.
And I'm excited for people to hear it.
And you
so
said
it's out this Friday.
This
on
Friday.
the 27th.
All right. We'll make
Of
sure.
September.
Yes. And you said 80s inspired. So any artists in particular that kind of inspired you to take, to kind of go back to that,
Honestly,
that era?
When I was writing this song, this is the very first song I wrote this year. And I just remember going into it, and every time I have a session, I tell them, like, do not give me the 80s. Like, don't do it. Like, that's always like a no-no.
Okay.
But this time, I just was letting...
You were open to it.
I was like, I just didn't stop the process.
Okay.
I was letting whatever was naturally occurring happen, and everyone in the room was really into it. And I was like, okay, like, I guess I can give this one shot. And it ended up being like literally the very first song I wrote in January this year. And now I'm so excited for it to be coming out. I feel like when I wrote it, it inspired me for everything else that is to come. And I was like, let me lean into this even more. So I can't wait for y'all to hear everything else I have coming post this.
Well, can't wait. Getting into the creative flow, that's always an exciting thing. It sounds like you've been doing that. Although you obviously have had a lot of success, but the music industry can be difficult to break into. What has your journey been like, and do you have any advice for people that are just starting off in the business?
Yeah, it's definitely a really tough industry to cut it in, honestly. And I think like the best advice I'd give is stay consistent. I say take the time to discover exactly who you are, because if you don't tell the world who you are, they'll tell you who you are, and they might put you in a box that doesn't feel like it's you, So I'd say take your time in discovering your sound, and then be consistent with it. It's definitely been a tough journey. I didn't get to grow up seeing like a lot of Black women that made pop music, at least like very mainstream sounding pop music, and came in the industry as that. There were some women that came in that made R&B or different styles, and then they slowly gravitated towards one style. So it's definitely been tough But I don't know, I'm just happy that I'm in a place now where I am breaking down those doors, and hopefully all the girls and all the people to come after me will feel like the door's kind of wide open, or there's at least a couple cracks in it and they can run in as well.
Yeah. Well, that's great. It's great to hear your story, and great to hear that you've reached all that success, and after all the hard work as well, because sometimes people don't see that part, but good for you.
It's hard to feel like you've reached all that success or any success.
Right.
I don't know what it is. Like every time I feel like I get a win, you're thinking about the next 10 and you're like, how do you make it to that level? But I definitely do think it's important in this industry to pause and be like, all right, hey, I always wanted to do this and I just achieved that. You have to celebrate yourself.
Well, thank you for joining us, and all the best at the SOCAN Awards tonight.